The skipper, the co-skipper, Sam Docherty. For me, this is one of the stories of our season, for real. You look at how much unknown there was to his return back to footy. 2 years out of the game. I mean, I don't forget both times exactly where I was when I got the news about his knee and the way it happened, during training, pre-season training, and the way that it all played out. It's just been a devastating run for us as fans and for him as a human being and as a professional athlete. He's a very good player. He's an all-Australian halfback flanker, and he was on the absolute top of his game before he got cut down with these ACL injuries. And I hope he never has to deal with any of these things again. But, you look at his year, he's played 16 of a possible 17 matches, and it has been almost a seamless transition back into the side. And it was pretty scary at the beginning because he started with an absolute bang. If you look at his first 4 matches, for example, he had 26 in round 1, he had 24 in round 2, 23 against Geelong, and then 32 possessions against the Bombers. And it was looking like, well, Sam Docherty is a lock in the All-Australian side. He did fall away a little bit in terms of his output, and he's spoken about that. But you've got to, for me, I'm very easily able to put whatever he did this season into context of it was always about getting a season under his belt. And to be honest with you, I didn't think he would play as many games as he did. I was kind of going into this year expecting maybe half of the games at a bare minimum just to get his touch back. But for me, this was the perfect preparation for 2021. I hope that he can recapture his best form, which I believe he can because he showed that he could this year, for longer stretches in 2021. The ups and downs come and go. I think, if anything, the one thing he sort of lost after round 4 or 5 was his ability to create with his run. We know that St Kilda put a stop to that with the game that Jaron Geary played on him, but his metres gained seemed to dip a little bit as the season went on, and it wasn't as prolific as the first month. But you can really look at it and say, well, look at where he's come from, and he's obviously not going to be at his best for a full season, given him his 2 years. So those are my thoughts around his year. But it's such a relief. I love him. I absolutely love him. I love what he represents. I love the way that he speaks. I do enjoy the notion of the co-captains because Cripper's more of the leader on the field by his actions, and not to say that Docherty isn't, but Docherty's just such a good speaker. He speaks well. I remember after some bad losses this year about how he fronted up to the media and answered questions in a way that I enjoyed listening to, and I'm sure many of the fans did as well. But the reality is, he's now back, and 2021 he now gets judged accordingly. There probably were times towards the end of this season where that was kind of getting towards there anyway, but it's all about getting a full preseason into him again. I think he's now got the confidence in his knee that it's not in the back of his mind subconsciously. And I look forward to seeing him back to his best in 2021 because we're going to need it. We're talking about finals being on the agenda as fans, and it has to be finals, otherwise it's a failure. And Docherty and Cripper are going to have to lead that, and I'm sure they're aware of that, and I'm sure they're aware of how much impact they're going to have to make in 2021 as leaders and as players, and I look forward to seeing it. So my overall summary of Doc was stoked, absolutely rapt for him to have him back, and I cannot wait to see him in 2021. I'm missing the footy so much already. I'm filming this a couple of days after the grand final in 2020, so that footy void is there, and finals now begins for Carlton with free agency and trade period. But I'm hoping for a big one for Sam Docherty in 2021, and can't wait to see what you think. Cheers.